Do you want to play a game? Hello everybody, welcome to another True Review. Today I am bringing you Decay The Mare on the Xbox One. It's a sequel to a little known Xbox Live Indie Game Store game called The Decay, which was in episodic format, and it's available in US regions only for $9.99. So thank Peggy for that, because that's why we're probably not getting it in EU regions, especially because they charge ridiculous fees to get the games rated. But anyway, on to the game itself. Now, Decay The Mare is a story about Sam. He's an addict. He admits himself into this facility, and on the first night something goes drastically wrong. That's pretty much what the game description tells you. So what transpires is an adventure through a series of static screens. If you think of it like the old school Myst kind of games, where you had a static image and you could interact with various objects throughout the images, throughout the rooms, that's pretty much what you've got here. The game's very, very simple and easy to understand. You simply move the cursor around the screen. When there's something you can interact with, it turns into a magnifying glass. You can pick items up from there, and you can press the Y button to access your inventory. It's as simple as that. And navigation is done by the D-pad. In the bottom right corner of the screen, you'll see various different exits to rooms, or different scenes where you can maybe reorientate the room and view it from a different angle. So you simply navigate by pressing the D-pad. Talking about navigation, there is a few issues with it, because sometimes when you go through a door, it does bizarrely put you backwards. So like if you push up to go through a door, you would imagine then to continue, say it was a corridor on the other side, you would imagine you press up again to continue down the corridor, but sometimes the game loads you in facing the door you've already just come through, so pushing up sends you back into a room you've already been into. So there's a few little minor issues there, and it can get a little confusing in some of the scenes when you just turn around and you see pretty much a blank wall and a door. It can get a bit confusing to where you actually are, but to be fair, the locations and the maps aren't that huge, but it does get a little bit disorientating at times until you actually get your bearings of where you actually are. But it's a very, very simple game to play. The puzzles are probably 99% based in logic. There's usually solutions, visual solutions, or notes where you will find the right sequences to the puzzles there, which is good, because a puzzle game really that doesn't base their puzzles in logic is not a very good one, in my opinion. With this one, there is always cues. Like, I'll give you an example. Earlier on, there's a series of portraits which at first you may think nothing of, but they are blinking at you. And later on, then on the same episode, you find a statue's head, which is the same statue that's painted in these portraits. And you have to interact with its eyes and press the left and right eye in a certain sequence, and obviously the blinking of the portraits tells you the right sequence to actually use. So that's what I mean, where there is solutions to 99% of the puzzles dotted around the environment. There is a few little random ones, like I think it was in the final act, where you progress a story to a certain point, and then all of a sudden these wooden balls or bouncy balls, whatever, to start randomly falling down stairways or rolling out of cupboards, things such as that. And there's no cue to where they're going to appear, but you do need these 4 balls to access a puzzle to progress the game. So a little bit of randomness there. I mean, fair enough if I missed the cue of where these locations were, but it's a minor niggle really, because like I say, 99% of the puzzles, there are solutions there available to you. You just got to take your time, study the environments, and figure them out. I mean, graphically, it's a bit of a mixed bag. Graphically, the static shots are not the best quality, I would say, but they do their job well. They depict a rundown environment, a spooky environment, and they're accompanied by some video cutscenes, shall we say. And I don't know if they were intentionally done this way, but they are very low res and very low quality. Now, it could be an intentional conscious decision to make it that way, to kind of like make a spooky kind of effect there, but they just come across as a little bit poor quality really, and they're only brief, they're not very effective, and they're not very good. The cutscenes, sound wise, is where the game shines. The piano tracks especially stand out head and shoulders above the rest of the musical score. The piano tracks, when they're just a solo piano playing there, just convey a sense of eeriness. I think there's no more spooky instrument that you can have in a horror film than just a piano playing by itself. The game's bookended with 2 of these tracks, and throughout the game there's points where the piano plays by itself, and that just really nails the eerie atmosphere that the game's trying to convey. The music, while not doing as good a job, still does the job good enough to convey that spooky and scary atmosphere of you dreading what's around the corner. Now, there are a few jump scares in the game. Most of them are not very effective. I will hold my hands up that one of them in the final act did get me, mostly because I was actually talking to somebody else in the room while playing the game at the same time, and I actually just turned to the screen when the jump scare happened, so it caught me very, very unawares. But just be warned, if you don't like jump scares, there's quite a few in this, but to be honest with you, they're not that effective overall really, so just be aware of that. Now, in terms of game length, it's probably a 2-hour game, 3-hour game on your first playthrough, muddling your way through. Say 2 to 3 hours maybe at best. If you are just using a straight guide, I mean, you'll rattle through this in about 45 minutes. It's literally that quick once you know what you're doing. The 3 episodes of the game can be done in as little as 15 minutes, so it is very, very short. But the fun of these games is figuring out the puzzles yourself, and getting that sense of accomplishment when you work out what the game wants you to do. So I would stress, try and avoid guides if at all possible, unless you get really, really stuck with it, which you shouldn't do, because it's not one of the hardest puzzle games in the world, if I'm honest with you. Of course, that leads on to the achievements. The achievements are mostly for just progressing through the story. I don't think there's any that are missable. I mean, I didn't even look at the achievement list, and I got all of them but the collectible ones on my first playthrough. The collectibles come in the form of these gold coins, and there's so many per episode. You can jump back and forth between the episodes once you've completed them, so there's no issue there. And I believe and then they do actually stay collected as well. So it's not that hard really if you just pay attention to the environment. Very, very easy 1000 gamer score. Now the question is back to short games, and is the asking price worth it? Now I think, again, for the initial, if you're using it without a guide, then 2 hours, maybe 3 hours if you take your real time through the game, or get stuck several times for $10. Is that worth it? I think it personally is, and I actually enjoyed this game. I had previous history with the first set of titles on the Xbox Live Indie Game Store, and this is a worthy successor to it really. Although I would also add that the story is a little confusing, and if I'm honest with you, I didn't get it. But the puzzles is what make these kind of games, and the puzzles are on point on this one, although they could have done with being a little bit harder. So I'm going to give Decay the Mare a recommended. I see no reason not to buy this straight away. Reasonably priced and a fun bite-sized piece of entertainment. So I hope you enjoyed the review, guys. Please remember to like, comment and subscribe, and share the video.